Hello everyone, this is part 1 of What If Naruto Traveled Back in Time and Changed. This story is made by bjdakooch, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Naruto gasped as blood flowed freely from his mouth and streaked down the front of his black and orange jacket. Due to the pain, his mind was still incapable of overcoming the shock that this was how it all ended. He fought 7 reincarnated Jinchurikis, he defeated and befriended 7 Biju, he defeated and converted Tobi, better known as Obito Uchiha. He played a key role in defeating Madara and subsequently sealed Kaguya away with the help of his one-time friend Sasuke Uchiha. He then fought to end the cycle of hatred against said one-time friend before he was betrayed by him. The losses of the Fourth Great Shinobi War were astronomical, and the world was in a state of turmoil when people escaped from the infinite Tsukuyomi. Naruto was hailed by some as a hero and feared by others as a superpower. When he fought against Sasuke and defeated him to ensure the Biju's freedom, he thought that was it. Then, the one-armed bastard converted 2/3 of the shinobi world to his cause and prolonged the war. He should have finished him off at the Valley of the End. For the past 3 years, Naruto has led a mix-matched coalition of outcasts that protected the Biju and were against restoring the old status quo. They fought long and hard to convert people to their way of thinking with moderate success. They worked out of Sunagakure to lead a resistance against Sasuke, the Godime Hokage, Darui the new leader of Kumo and Kuretsuki the new leader of Iwa. The war was long and drawn out and Naruto never once asked the Biju to fight on his behalf. He was adamant that the Biju's role in the new world would be peaceful, and they would work alongside him. He thought he was doing the right thing. The people who believed in him gave everything for his dream. The world Sasuke wanted would have been one that brought about the end of the world. Sure enough, Sasuke won and did bring about the end of the world. One by one his cursed Sharingan eye was able to enslave the Biju. One by one Naruto's closest friends died fighting for what they believed in, and all at once the end of the world was nigh. Sasuke used his Sharingan, Rinnegan combination take every last bit of Naruto's heart, piece by piece, bit by bit, until it was just him and Kurama left. The last bit of sick satisfaction that Naruto got was watching from his position on a cross as Sasuke attempted to become the next Jinchuriki of the Juubi. Sasuke's forces had strapped him to a wooden cross where they watched Kurama get ripped out of his boy. After the extraction, Sasuke attempted to become the Juubi's Jinchuriki in a grandiose fashion in front of the allied forces of Konoha, Kumo and Iwa, and he failed spectacularly. He couldn't control the power and the Juubi was released upon the world. With the last bit of his life force, Naruto watched all of his enemies be ripped apart by the colossal beast before the Juubi unleashed cataclysm and his world went dark. Before the colossal nature energy ended him, Naruto closed his eyes and whispered a prayer to his loved ones. Kami, if you can hear me, please hold my loved ones in your hands and let them find rest in your embrace. Kurama, I am sorry I failed you, my last true friend. To those that believed in me, I will love you forever, I am sorry. Naruto closed his eyes to settle his heart before the chaotic combination of wind, water and lightning enshrouded him. He retreated to an unfamiliar emptiness of his subconscious and then everything went black. He remained in the darkness for an indeterminate amount of time while his soul tried to come to grips with all the suffering and loss he endured throughout his mortal life. He found it to be a nearly impossible task and his mind felt fractured, almost irreparably so. As his thoughts went in self-condemning circles, a brief light flickered in the darkness. The flickering increased in frequency and power until his soul found itself hovering in a world made of white. A memory of the mindscape that he once talked to the chakra imprints of his mother and father flickered across his fractured mind and snapped him out of his endless musings. His soul began to take form, his mortal form, and he opened his eyes to find himself standing on a translucent floor in a world made of white light. He noticed dispassionately that his body retained all of his scars, bruises and tattered clothing. The landscape was beautiful and serene, but it was empty, and he found himself lost in the emptiness, but at least his mind seemed to have halted for a brief reprieve from its torturous thoughts. After the world went white, he didn't have to wait too long until two familiar figures appeared in front of him. Before he could process who they were, he was wrapped in an embrace by a beautiful redhead. He was nearly 6 inches taller than the ethereal beauty, but that didn't stop him from collapsing into the tender embrace of the woman that should have fulfilled the role of mother in his previous life. Tears filled his eyes before his mind could process the series of insane events, and he couldn't stop from crying into the ample bust of the woman. He barely processed the comforting hand on his shoulder as his body was racked with sobs. Eventually, he calmed down enough to choke out some words that symbolized reality had finally caught up to him. I am sorry. Sir, sorry. I failed. Everyone is dead. I wasn't strong enough. The words escaped his mouth in between sobs, snot and tears. The whole time the loving presence of these two people worked to calm him down and attempted to piece together his shattered soul. Shush. It's okay, Sochi. It is okay, my son. We couldn't be prouder of you. She bent down and placed a tender K on the top of his head, somehow penetrating the blonde locks of hair and reaching his soul. Kami, let us watch your life. We saw everything, Sochi. It's over now. It will be okay. As the woman continued to embrace him and K his racked form, the blonde man got down on one knee and wrapped him in a hug from behind. Minato had fought alongside his son through the use of the cursed and forbidden, impure world resurrection, jutsu. His ethereal heart swelled with pride at the man his son became, and Minato knew his son was so close to achieving his dream. He stopped the scowl from reaching his face at the thought of the Uchiha and all the pain they forced upon the world. Naruto, my son, you did more in your short life than I ever thought possible. You were so strong and such a brilliant light for the world. I am so proud of you. Minato said in a soft voice. Dad. Is that you? Naruto's broken voice came out at a whisper until a firm hand turned him around and he was embraced in a much firmer hug than his mother's. Yes, son, I am here. Minato simply tried to convey his feelings through his hug and bring any bit of peace to his son's broken soul that he could. It isn't over yet either, son. Naruto's breath hitched and his heart stopped. Fear overcame him, fear of needing to fight again, fear of failing again, fear of being surrounded by death again. Eventually he mustered up the resolve to overcome his fear and asked the question. What do you mean? I died, how is it not over? Minato extended his arms with his hands still clasping his son's shoulders. Brilliant azure blue met clouded azure blue, and Minato's heart nearly broke at all the pain he saw in his son's eyes. Look, son, Kami gave us some time to catch up and then she wishes to talk to you. I need you to stay strong and remember who you are. You are my strong, proud, resilient, courageous boy that turned into a great leader that fought to do what was right. Don't forget that he was a handsome lady killer, Minato-kun. Kushina chirped in a light-hearted tone. Naruto felt warmth returning to his soul and a slight bit of healing started at that moment. I still failed. Minato lifted Naruto's chin up and forced him to look into his eyes. Who did you fail, son? It wasn't us, because the man I watched try to save the world did everything in his power to make the world a better place, and we weren't the only ones that saw it. Naruto's eyes begged for an explanation, and he failed to force any more words out, so Kushina stepped in. Sochi, everyone that joined you along the way came here, and Kami let us watch everything. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Kakashi, Neji, Gaara, Temari, Shikamaru, Hinata, Ino, we all watched and couldn't be more proud. Naruto's eyes continued to drop as memories of his fallen comrades saturated his mind and thoughts. So, everyone that gave their life believing in me watched me fail. His voice was so shattered and devoid of the light that everyone associated with Naruto. Kushina's hair flared up and she decided that it was high past time for tough love. She pulled Naruto's face to her and slapped his cheek with an ample amount of force to turn his head. She fixed a firm motherly look on her face, and her tone was stern. I will not stand here and listen to you berate yourself. You shouldered the weight of the world and fought valiantly. The blame is not for you to shoulder alone. Now, listen to me and listen to me well, Sochi. This is the last time I will let you say you failed. Nobody blames you. In fact, most of them wish they were stronger so they could have done more to support you. It's not their fault. I should have dealt with Sasuke before it came to all that. I wanted to believe he could change, that my friend was still in there somewhere. Minato ruffled his hair and spoke softly. And that is why everyone loved you so much. That is why so many people rallied to your cause and why the Biju believed in you. Your golden heart is why all hope is not lost, not yet. What do you mean? Why won't you answer me when I ask you to explain that? Naruto's tone grew frustrated, and a slight bit of anger tinged his words. Kushina smiled beneficently and rubbed the whisker marks on his cheek that even appeared on the representation of his soul. Sochi, let's just say we were given instructions not to talk about it. Somebody else wants the right to talk to you about it first. For now, why don't we sit down, relax and catch up? There are some things I want you to know before the other person joins us. Before Naruto could respond, Kushina clasped her hands together in a praying motion and closed her eyes in focus. Chakra flared around her, and the brilliant, white landscape shifted to a lake with a warm sun beaming down. They sat on a rocky ledge with their feet hanging in the water as they took the time to catch up. They talked for an hour and life returned to Naruto's eyes, which were always the representation of his soul. His tone got livelier, and his heart healed bit by bit. Toward the end of the hour, Kushina's tone changed, and she looked more serious. Sochi, there are some things I want you to know now that our time is almost up. First, you were not alone in the world and family was much closer than you thought. Not only was Tsunade a great aunt from my side of the family, but Kushi-chan, shouldn't I be allowed to tell him? Minato had a wry smile on his face as he gave a mock glare to his wife. After Kushina nodded, Minato spoke again. Naruto, the fates were not fair to you, and they loved their ironies. Believe me, when Kami found out she was pissed. So, as for the big secret, it turns out that Tsunade was my mom. Naruto jumped to his feet in total surprise as he pointed at his father. You are Bar-chan's son. That means I am a Senju. Minato chuckled and Kushina puffed her cheeks. You are just as much Uzumaki as you are Senju, Sochi. Naruto shot an apologetic look at his mother before he rubbed the back of his neck in his sheepish pose. Haha, sorry Car-chan. It was just a shock. Kushina smiled in a way that said, I know something you don't know. At the prompting look on Naruto's face, she chuckled and added a second shocker. Hee, could you guess who your grandfather was then? Naruto seemed to think for a bit and his brows wrinkled in concentration. Eventually, realization smacked him in the face and his head snapped to his father with disbelief in his eyes. Minato nodded with a smile on his face before Naruto prompted him to explain with one word, how? A wistful look fixed itself on Minato's face and he sighed before explaining. Well, to be clear, we didn't know while we were alive. Tsunade and Jiraiya had a one-night stand after the end of the Second Great Shinobi War, and I was born. Due to the enemies they made, I was abducted as a baby and somehow found my way back to Konoha after a squad of Konoha shinobi rescued me from a camp of bandits and missing ninjas. I think you know the gist of the rest of my story. Naruto was dumbstruck at the confirmation that his father gave him. Holy shit. The words came out in a whisper as Naruto processed that he was close to both of his grandparents for a small portion of his life. Mom was right, fate was a massive to all of us. Kushina chuckled. Oh, fate is being manhandled by Kami right now. I should add that Jiraiya was the bastard son of Tobirama Senju, the Nadaime Hokage. Turns out his white hair and Tsunade's sandy blonde combined to make sun-kissed blonde. Minato sighed. And I did so much to make the Namika's name. To be fair, I would have been massively different if I were a Senju and then we wouldn't have made you, Naruto. So, as much as I want to, Hiraishin stage 3 feet all over fate, I can't be too mad because she gave us you. Naruto sighed, yeah, I guess so. These are all crazy revelations, but why are you telling me this like it matters? Minato decided to skirt the question again and explain something to Naruto since he sensed the arrival of the third party. Look, son, there is a lot that will make sense soon. For now, I want you to know that your mom and I had a compound on the east side of the clan district just under the Hokage monument. The gate is blood sealed to recognize anyone of your mother's or my lineage. Kushina ignored the confused look on Naruto's face. Well, if he is saying that then I will add this. Azushiogakure is my homeland and the wars prevented me from returning home. The Uzumaki clan had a failsafe in place to ensure that our clan knowledge would never fall into the wrong hands. Only a true Uzumaki can access it, and you were the last heir to the royal line of Uzumaki. All of the sudden, a regal, ethereal, entrancing woman with blonde hair that flowed freely to her waist appeared. The woman was the very definition of beauty and perfection, and Naruto felt his breath hitch and his lips grew dry. The woman's white yukata with golden trimming fit her shapely, womanly figure well and exposed just enough to entice the eyes. Her face was a fixed calm that radiated the warmth of everything good in this world, and just looking at her was a blessing to Naruto. Oh, look at you two trying to spoil my fun. Oh well, I will allow it. Now, Naruto-kun, I have waited a long time to talk to you, my child of prophecy. After speaking, the woman graced Naruto with an enchanting smile. Naruto was so blown away by her beauty that he failed to respond as his whole body locked up in front of her magnificence. After a few seconds, the woman's beautiful chuckle broke him from his trance, and he laughed nervously while doing everything in his power to stop the blood threatening to trickle from his nose. I'm sorry, do I know why you? He asked in a totally uncool manner, which earned him a heavenly chuckle that the woman hid behind the sleeve of her yukata. No, Naruto-kun, sadly I am not allowed to interact on the mortal plane, which I am sad to say has come to an end as you know it. Her voice was soft as she tried to cushion the blow for the boy she had watched with such rapt interest. Naruto balked at that. He thought that may be the case, but no human wanted to truly contemplate the apocalypse. It was sad, and yet pleasing at the same time. At least Sasuke team was proven wrong, and it bit him in the ass. That being said, it was still shocking to hear that the world had already ended. Naruto did his best impersonation of a fish on dry land as his mouth opened and closed repeatedly with no sound coming out. The lady laughed beautifully and didn't appear too sad about the end of the world. Don't worry about it, Naruto-kun. That cycle had lasted a long time and it was stuck in a rut. My prophecy was that you would defeat Kaguya and save the world, which you did, and it was quite a spectacular show. However, the Uchiha's curse of hatred winning out was an unexpected turn. Why those silly humans trusted him over you was a cruel twist of fate, and it was why the world ended. She said the last part whimsically, as if it were a minor detail. Naruto was still shocked, but he could no longer hold the question. I am sorry, ma'am, but how do you know me and what is your name? His confused yet earnest tone earned another chuckle from the mysterious beauty. The goddess clutched a hand over her heart and the other covered her lips in a mischievous manner. Ara, how impolite of me. I am what you would refer to as Kami, the caretaker of this mortal realm. As for how I know you, well I suppose you could say I took a vested interest in you and watched over you. I dubbed you my chosen child of prophecy, and even granted those foolish toads the vision. The rules prevented me from directly intervening, but now that the cycle has ended, I can meddle all I want. Once again, Naruto began stammering and he started to point at the woman before he jumped in the air and landed on his knees before comically prostrating himself to the goddess. This earned a round of laughter from the trio present as Naruto kept his head pressed to the ground. That is enough of that, Naruto-kun. You see, I have kept your soul here because I wish you to lead the new cycle. It should have happened in your previous life, but fate, stacked the odds so heavily against you that I didn't notice her final trump card, the Uchiha boy. She directly intervened at the end of the fight with Kaguya and turned him against you, which led to the rest of those miserable events. As if that weren't enough, she played with those foolish survivors of Iwa and Kumo and swayed them to the emo boy's side. I do apologize on behalf of my daughter. I may have dropped her on her head a time or two. Naruto did his best to take in every word and he didn't fail to miss the part where she said she wants him to lead the new cycle. So, you are going to reincarnate me. In a new world. Kami adopted a sad look on her face. No, Naruto-kun, my realm is the one you lived in. I have a limited control of time since I handed over responsibility for it, so if I wish to use you, which I do, then I would need to do so from your timeline. Naruto's face fell. So, I would have to go through all of that all over again. All the hate, my childhood, every enemy. Minato and Kushina placed comforting hands on his shoulders to give him some of their strength. Kami smiled sadly at the boy. Well, to be honest, Naruto-kun, you could call this an experiment since I have never done it before. I have never restarted a timeline and allowed somebody to go back to change events since that would normally go against the time continuum. However, since the whole timeline came to an end, it wouldn't violate the rules. Naruto's brows furrowed and he looked confused. Rules? Aren't you Kami? Are you telling me that you were okay with all of that suffering? All of those innocent people suffering every day. Rape, slavery, murder, theft, the list goes on, and you are okay with it. By the end, he started to sound disillusioned and angry. I am sorry, my child. That is the price of giving humans power and free will. So that you may better understand it, I created the world and programmed it like a game. I did so in a way that people might find joy and meaning in life. They would be capable of achieving greatness and showing me new things. For instance, the rotation of the Earth and the shifting of the tectonic plates underground are one thing that allows life on the planet. At the same time, the byproduct of that feature was earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. For every blessing, there is a curse. Yin and yang, the balance of the world is all held up in the rules. Naruto looked down at the ground contemplatively before he resigned himself to accept her words. After feeling his acceptance, she continued. It is not that I wish to allow the bad things of the world to happen, but I had faith in my creations to overcome their baser instincts. If things got too out of balance, I would grant blessings, such as Hashirama's Mokuton ability, to steer the world in a better direction. That was the extent of my meddling as I presided over the realm. I think I understand. But why me? Why choose me to get a second chance? To be honest, Kami-sama, I am broken now. My soul feels fractured, and I don't know if I could do it all over again. He sounded dejected. Kami took his head in her hands and placed a K on his forehead. Instantly, Naruto felt a flow of warmth wash over him, and it healed most of the damage from the losses of his past. The fire lit behind his azure blues and color returned to his face. My child, I know that I ask much of you. Do not think that you will be forced to repeat the same old thing. I will grant you one blessing that would not upset the timeline. I am sorry to say that any attempt to alter the day of your birth would not be possible. She paused here to let Naruto soak that bit of information in. I figured, so I can't have my parents back, Naruto said sadly, as that was his truest wish, was to go through life with his parents and family. Sadly, that is not possible. I should tell you that the Sage of Six Paths did something with his chakra that will be undone this time. For many centuries, his sons Indra and Ashura, Madara and Hashirama, Sasuke and yourself, took on vessels that their chakra imprinted on. I will no longer allow this because it led to a loop in the sequence of things. However, since you are a Senju, would you like to have the Mokuton bloodline? It would help prove your heritage, and I dare say it would change quite a few things for you. Kami suggested, actually interested in seeing how that time cycle would go with her chosen child wielding such an ability. Kushina and Minato perked up at this. Kushina thought that it would be super cool to see her Sochi wielding the Mokuton to save the world. Minato was calculating at a mile a minute to figure out how that would change the events that led to the destruction of the world. Naruto simply thought that it would be awesome, since everyone in Konoha practically worshipped the Mokuton bloodline. Minato seemed to finish his calculations and offered some advice to his son. Son, that would shift quite a lot in the timeline, and it would prove to be a very effective tool in your arsenal. Kami chirped excitedly. Oh, that would be so exciting to see how that would shift the course of events. From pariah to village hero. Along with your memories, you would be able to get a head start this time. Naruto considered the possibilities. Could he handle the tortures of the past when he saw everyone alive again? He wasn't that old. He was only 19 when he died, and it seemed like his life was one big blur. One chaotic incident after another. Mokuton would be cool, but I have some questions. 1. Can I tell anybody about my previous life? 2. Am I free to change anything I want? 3. Can I just preemptively kill Sasuke and get it over with? Naruto asked, still stuck with his brain working overtime to think out everything he would need. Kami placed her hand to her chin and adopted a cute thinking pose. Well, Naruto-kun, since this is a fresh slate, I would request that you don't tell anybody, although I think we could tell a select few. That is part of the experiment for me, and it may create more issues than you wish to deal with. Yes, You are my chosen one and I will allow you to change what you will from your point in the timeline. Finally, no, the Sasuke of that timeline is not tainted by Asura, and he has committed no sins yet. If you killed him before he wronged you, then it would taint your soul and condemn you to Yami. Naruto kicked the dirt out from under his feet in frustration. Dealing with the team would be his hardest mental obstacle to overcome. Asunad and Jirai are really my grandparents. Do they know? Would it be okay for me to tell them? Kami seemed contemplative once again before she smiled regally down at Naruto. Yes, they are Naruto, I will grant you that. Once you find them, you can tell them. They do not know. Sadly, it was a really cruel twist of fate that happened with your father, and it ruined both of their lives. Naruto smiled and Kushina cheered from behind him. It would be a great solace knowing that her son will not be alone this go around. What about Kurama? Will he have his memories? He is my best friend, so I need to ask. Can he have his yin and yang chakra? I know that may be more than one favor, but it isn't right to split his soul up like that. He was there for me from the start of the war to the end, so I beg your mercy on this, Kami-sama. Naruto bowed his head as a sign of respect. Once again, Kami smiled down on him before she snapped her fingers. A chibi nine-tailed fox was wrapped in Kami's arms and Naruto saw Kurama snuggle his head into Kami's bee. Man, he was jealous of that. Kami looked down on the tiny fox form of Kurama. Well, Kurama-kun, it is good to see you again. You Biju were one of the things Hagoromo did right. Kami pressed a finger to Kurama's forehead and injected the memories of the conversation to bring him up to speed. Do you wish to go back with my chosen child and start a new cycle? The mini fox turned and locked eyes with Naruto, slitted, blood red met deep, azure blue before the small fox smirked. Well, the brat is my partner, and we came pretty close last time. I don't see why not, although I really like it here. Once again, Kurama snuggled his head into Kami's bosom and got bonked on the head for his second offense, which earned a snicker from Naruto. Kushina and Minato looked on with bemused smiles, seemingly okay with the Biju that once caused the deaths. While Kami was chiding Kurama for his brazen actions, Naruto turned to his parents for their thoughts. Son, I know you can do it and I just want you to be happy. Remember that it was your friends that gave you strength and enjoy the ride. Minato kept it simple with that pleased, fatherly smile on his face. Sochi, I say go for it. I know you can do it and I would love some grand babies this time around. Kushina's face turned into a scowl here. Actually, make sure you find Tsunade before you show off your Mokuton. That damnable council would turn you into a breeder if you don't have the proper allies and protection. Minato responded to that. Son, your mother is right, as always. Naruto made a whip sound here, which earned a nod and a chuckle from his mother, but his dad shrugged it off. If you blow the lid on that too early then they would force you into the CRA. I am not against you having multiple wives, but I can assure you that you do not want them controlling anything to do with your future. Naruto saw his mother balling her fist but nodded at his father. I know, I don't want that, but it will be weird. I will have my mature mind in a child's body. Wait, did Kami say when she is sending me back to? Both parents looked at each other before shaking their heads in the negative. They all adopted concerned looks on their faces and turned to see Kami was waiting for the question with a mischievous look on her face. Naruto recognized that look because he always saw it in the mirror when he was planning an awesome prank. It's a secret, Naruto-kun. She said tantalizingly slow. Naruto facepalmed himself. For a goddess, she sure acted weirdly. Maybe it was a side effect of being an immortal know-it-all. That is not a nice thing to think, Naruto-kun. And here I have been so nice and generous to you. Kami finished with a pout. Naruto blanched. Shit, Kami can read my thoughts. Sorry Kami-sama. Please be nice, my childhood was pretty rough. He edged his head and gave her his best, pleading grin, which simply earned him another enchanting chuckle. Never mind that he just made the understatement of the century. Okay, Naruto-kun, I will put you back at some point in your childhood. Time magic is tricky, but it will be one of the pivotal events of your childhood. You will have your Mokuton bloodline activated, and I will make it so some of your descendants may carry it on. You will always have a whole Kurama with the seal array adjustable. I am sure you know not to open it too early since your body won't be able to handle it. You will retain your memories. I am sorry that is an all or nothing offer, but I want to see how you handle it. Now, I will give you 10 minutes to say goodbye to your parents before I send you back. It was a pleasure getting to talk to you, Naruto-kun. Next time you come this way maybe you could stop by for a chat. Kami ended with a wink before she blinked out of existence. Naruto let out a deep breath he didn't know he was holding. He just me Kami, the Kami, and she is sending him back to some point in his childhood. The thought filled him with a sense of trepidation. His childhood was something he always pushed to the back of his mind. He rallied himself back to his senses so that he could enjoy the rest of the time with his parents. He forced a smile on his face before he turned to look at him, barely noticing when Kurama jumped onto his shoulder. Kushina smothered him in a monstrous embrace and tears fell on his tattered clothes. Naruto just noticed that even his soul representation still wore his battle garments, shredded as they were. Naruto rubbed his hands through his mother's lustrous red hair in a soothing manner. It will be all right, Mama. I will be all right. Just a couple more years and I will be right back here to catch up with you. He whispered in a soft tone. Kushina continued crying, so Minato took over. Look, son, as I said, I am proud of you, and I know I will continue to be proud of you. Just do what you think is right and enjoy this go around. Stay true to yourself and I am sure everything will work itself out. Remember that you will be able to enter our compound and the spare key is in the potted vase to the left of the door. Naruto nodded before laying his head on top of his mother's. I got it, Dad. Mom, I love you, just keep watching over me and I will make you proud. Kushina looked up and placed a loving K on his forehead before she locked eyes with Kurama, who was just sitting on his haunches on Naruto's shoulder. Kurama, I wish I took the time to get to know you. Please look after my Sochi and in return I will tell Naruto where to find the scrolls to free you before his death. You already told me, Ka-chan. They are in a zoo, and I know when I will go there. Don't worry about Kurama, I trust him, and things will be different this time around. Naruto butted in sarcastically. Kurama smirked at that. Look, Kushina, times were different, and the seal never allowed us to interact. For what it's worth, I'm sorry for killing you and torturing your kid for the better part of his life. Your kid has earned my trust and partnership, so you have nothing to worry about this time around. Kushina smiled beautifully at the kitsune before turning to her son. Sochi, I know you didn't have too much time but remember the 3 prohibitions of being a shinobi. Girls are good when the time is right, but you should only do those things with the one you love. Be careful when drinking, especially with your past. It will be tempting but remember everything is fine in moderation. Third, manage your money well. Never go into debt and work for the things you want. I know you lived a frugal lifestyle, but even if you get rich don't let money change who you are. Finally, watch out for your grandfather. I know you studied under him, but he really is a pervert, don't let him taint you Sochi. Minato buried his head in his hands at the mention of Jiraiya's perversion, but he couldn't help but agree with his wife. Your mother is right again, if he goes too far just tell him that your mother will be waiting for him. He probably won't remember the beating he got from your mother once he arrived here in the pure world, but it was one for the record books. Naruto laughed at that. Jiraiya was a terrible role model and sensei, but he was a great father figure. The nuggets of wisdom he threw out were life-changing and redeemed him in Naruto's eyes. I got it. Well, I think it is time to go so I will end with this. I love you both. With one last, genuine and heartwarming hug, the lakeside landscape reverted to a brilliant white before things went black. The last thing Naruto heard was the whisper of his mother telling him that she loved him. That alone would be enough to get Naruto through this time around. Naruto came to lying in an alley with Kurama calling out to him in his mind. Kit, you gotta wake up, Kit. Damn it, Kami. This is just wrong. Kurama growled in his mind, and he began forcing chakra into Naruto's child body. Naruto cracked a bleary eye open to see something he never wanted to see again. Around him was a mob of people and Naruto felt the clear indications that a good beating had been in progress for quite a while. His tiny body hurt, and the blows kept coming. Luckily, they hadn't broken out the sharp tools yet, but Naruto noticed that one villager was wielding a bat. He processed Kurama's voice and felt the surge of Kurama's chakra and began forming the once familiar hand signs for the Kawarai, or body switch, jutsu. As the bat closed in, Naruto saw one fat villager with a menacing look on his face and smirked internally. As the bat closed in, there was a puff of smoke and a man's scream caused the mob to pause. Good job, Kit. I forced your chakra to awaken, but we need to get out of here. Your little chakra coils suck, so I apologize for the burn, but it is time to go. Use this distraction and run. Kurama screamed. A tiny, boyish voice answered Kurama. I got it, Q. I am moving. The villagers were shocked to see a fully grown man appear in the boy's place and take the strike that was meant for the demon. They were so shocked that they missed the boy disappear in a puff of smoke to be replaced by a log. Their shock only took a minute to turn to anger when a roar spread throughout the crowd to find the demon. People were shouting that the demon hurt the villager and that he needed to be killed now. They looked around in confusion before a non-ninja Hyuga branch member activated the Byakugan, the dojutsu of the Hyuga clan, and looked for the boy. Unfortunately for the mob, there was a festival going on that night and the village was still very lively. The Hyuga's Byakugan wasn't as advanced as the active shinobi and he was having a hard time locking onto the boy's chakra signature. He growled before he pointed in a direction that led back toward the village and the mob moved out at the point of his finger. Naruto recovered himself and ran toward one place that he knew he should be safe, the Hokage Tower. He was surprised to feel how small he was and how tiny his legs were, but Kurama's chakra kept his legs fresh, and he moved at speeds that no 4-year-old had the right to move. A blonde blur with a blood-stained white t-shirt tore through the village on a beeline to the Hokage Tower. As Naruto ran, he was having a conversation in his head with Kurama. What do I say when I get there, Q? Naruto thought to his partner. I don't care, Kit. We can make the changes we want, and I am not going through this bullshit again. We should think about it though, and you will have to remember that you are supposed to be a child. That old monkey has seen you a couple times at the orphanage, so we should play our cards pretty close to the chest. Kurama answered, clearly frustrated at the situation. What do you think about giving him a trust test? See if he will tell me about you. If he does, then I will work some things in our favor. I can tell him about Mr. Foxy-kun in my head that told me to call him Daddy. If he thinks the seal is failing, he will call Jiraiya here. Naruto said sarcastically. Kurama had to suppress a laugh, but a chuckle escaped his throat. Oh, what I wouldn't pay to see the look on his face if you said that. However, he would probably try to seal your memories or something. If worst came to worst, would you be able to break it? Naruto thought back with a deadly serious tone. PSH, who do you take me for? I am still the great Kyuubi no Kitsune and I will not let anything like that happen to you. Even if they tighten the seal, we have the key, but I will place a genjutsu, Kitsune illusion, over the seal to make it look like the original. No matter what, these petty humans will not take their misplaced anger out on you again. Thanks, Q. I don't know if I could remain sane being back here without you. No problem, Kit. Just focus on your route and don't let these villagers get the grubby paws on you again. Naruto closed the link and focused on his run through the village. It wasn't as familiar as it once was due to Pain's annihilation of the village when Naruto was 16. Naruto found it crazy to think that just over 3 years had passed since that life-changing event, but the craziness of the war drowned out all of the lesser memories. It took Naruto 10 minutes with Kurama's chakra to get to the Hokage Tower and he blurred through the empty building and into the Hokage's office. The office was empty since the third Hokage often went out to spend time with the villagers. Naruto jumped into the Hokage's leather chair and Kurama cut the chakra he was supplying. Naruto's tiny body instantly collapsed from the withdrawal of the potent chakra and Naruto appeared inside his mindscape with Kurama. They spent their time making a game plan for the upcoming conversation until they were inevitably awoken by the Hokage. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, was a man of great intellect and skill and he ruled over Konoha for over 50 years before he passed the mantle to his successor. He hated that he had to resume the mantle of Hokage when Minato Namikaze passed, but it was his obligation to the village he loved. Admittedly, he had lost a step since his earlier retirement and that had cost him significant influence over the council, a collection of civilians and ninja clan heads. He struggled to get Konoha back on its feet after the Kyuubi attack 4 years ago and things were finally starting to renormalize. Hiruzen thought about the festival the previous night and the celebration of Kyuubi's defeat. That led him to thinking about his blonde charge, the heir of his successor and the scapegoat of the village. As he munched on his morning oatmeal, he thought that he would have to visit the orphanage once he had some free time to say hello to the boy and wish him happy birthday. It was such a shame that the boy had to be relegated to the orphanages when he was the sole heir to two heroes of his village. With a sigh, Hiruzen finished his breakfast and walked out of the kitchen to resume his duties for the day. Hiruzen continued his reflections as he walked through his now quiet village to return to his office. He knew that he would have all the genin teams out cleaning the trash from the festival up as he marveled at the mess his villagers left. He knew they had to grieve and celebrate and enjoy a break from life, but this was a serious amount of trash and debris that littered his once pristine village streets. He looked up from the mess to appreciate the sun peeking up over the Hokage mountain and soaked in the peaceful scene that greeted his old eyes and brought comfort to his old bones. Hiruzen walked into his office, and everything looked normal. His Anbu detail would be reporting in the next 15 minutes or so, and this day would resume the same as the last. Luckily, there were no council meetings today and he would be able to focus on reducing his overdue paperwork. Kami, the vile sheets tormented his dreams and brought a dull ache to his wrist before he even picked up a pen. He tossed his Hokage hat onto the coat rack that sat next to his desk and sat down to get the day started. He wasn't expecting the squeak that he heard due to his priorly stated actions. Hiruzen shot up out of his seat in a combat-ready pose and looked at the intruder that was resting in his chair. It was a blonde boy wearing a white t-shirt that was ripped up and splotched with blood and trash from the streets. It didn't even take him a half second to realize who the boy was, despite the boy still rubbing the sleep out of his eyes. He forcefully recomposed himself before he addressed the boy. Naruto, my boy, why are you in my office at this time in the morning and what happened to you? Hiruzen asked in a stern tone. Naruto had expected to be woken up sooner and he had actually fallen asleep in the mindscape next to Kurama. He heeded his partner's warning that this was showtime and he needed to keep his act together. He used the time it took to rub the sleep out of his eyes to compose his thoughts and try to plan out the conversation. Oh, hey old man. Naruto took an exaggerated yawn before he met Hiruzen's gaze. Old man, before we talk, I think you should know there is a man in your bookshelf. He came in last night and he is kinda creepy. Hiruzen was immediately on guard, and he flipped to the bookshelf. He saw a man blur into existence before making a dash for the window of the Hokage office. Hiruzen wasn't the Hokage for nothing and he cut the man off before neutralizing him with some lightning jutsu that Naruto honestly didn't recognize. The ninja in the blank white mask crumpled to the ground and spasmed as the electricity coursed through him. Hiruzen flared his chakra, and it took less than 30 seconds for a squad of patrolling Anbu, people in animal masks that composed the elite Black Ops of Konoha, to show up kneeling in front of Hiruzen. Take this man to Ibiki. Chakra seals are to remain applied at all times. Search him thoroughly for any suicide options and report back to me once Ibiki has broken him. Go. The Hokage practically roared at his squad. Hi, Hokage-sama. The squad answered instantly with a brief salute before the blurred interaction and before Naruto's young eyes could process it, they were gone. Naruto decided to play the child a bit here, so he jumped up on the chair and thrust a fist into the air. Wow, that was awesome. He was like whoosh, and you were like buzz and he was done. One hit. Can you teach me that? Hiruzen forced out a chuckle. Ho ho, Naruto, all in good time my boy, all in good time. So, back to why you were sleeping in my chair. Care to explain? Hiruzen's tone was harder than steel as he gazed down at the now sheepish boy. Naruto took a page out of Hinata's old book and pointed his fingers together repeatedly before looking up with his best imitation of the puppy dog eyes. The mean lady at the orphanage threw me out last night and told me that the orphanage didn't have room for demons. Then, these mean people started beating me up and calling me a demon and the QB reincarnated. They say I killed a bunch of people and that I should just die and that they needed to kill me to honor the fourth's memory by finishing what he started. Naruto paused there for effect and looked down at the ground. Kurama was sensing Hiruzen's emotions and found that the old man held a genuine regret for what his boy was going through. Naruto continued to wait for Hiruzen to take over, knowing that a kid wouldn't want to talk about this kind of thing. Hiruzen buried his head in his hands and shook his head while muttering something under his breath. Don't worry, my boy. I will have that mean old lady fired and we will find someone new. Hiruzen finally replied. Naruto plastered a look of fear on his face and shook his head negatively at a mad pace. No, old man. I am not going back there. The kids beat me and steal my food, I am not allowed in the lessons, I sleep in the closet on most nights, and it is terrible there. I want you to tell me why, old man. Tell me why people hate me for no good reason. Naruto changed his look from fear to anger and determination while his tiny eyes glared at the Hokage. Hiruzen rubbed his eyes tiredly. It was too early in the morning for this, and he knew he couldn't tell the boy the reason he was hated. He honestly didn't know what to do, so he tried to play it off. Before Hiruzen could speak, Kurama spoke through the mental link. I'm sorry, Kit. He is going to lie to you now. It seems we cannot trust him, and we will have to do this on our own. Kurama's tone was repentant, and Naruto simply answered with a mental nod. Hiruzen's voice sounded weary, and it was clear to Naruto that he didn't even believe his own story that he was about to spin. I am sorry, Naruto-kun. I will get you back to the orphanage and make things better there for you. As for the mean crowd of people, they were probably just drunk at the festival, and you got caught up in the middle of it. Naruto dropped his eyes to the floor and tried to suppress the feeling of betrayal that was stinging his heart and permeating his being. He was so naive the last time around that he accepted that this man loved him like his honorary grandson. Well, Naruto had enough, and he was going to make this was sting. No grandfather would let this happen to his grandchild and then lie to said child's face. I see, Hokage. Well then, I will leave. Have a good day. Naruto spun on his heels and darted for the door. Hiruzen was stunned by the switch in the boy's mentality. It was like he just failed a test of some kind, and he didn't know how he should feel about it. Before he processed it, he blurred forward and stopped the young boy from leaving his office by grabbing him by the collar of his t-shirt. He was about to speak when the look of betrayal on Naruto's eyes sank in and froze him in his place. He was so stunned that the boy slipped out of his shirt and ran away. He managed to make it out of the door, and by the time Hiruzen recovered, the boy was gone. He sighed wearily and his head fell into his hands before he started berating himself. 30 minutes later, the Anbu squad on duty returned to his office and reported in. The masked man had said literally nothing and Ibiki was still working on breaking him. Hiruzen didn't really need to know because he already knew the man belonged to his longtime rival Danzo. Great, just another shit sandwich that he was being forced to eat first thing in the morning. He sorted things out in his mind before he spoke in his commander's tone. Inu, a little while ago Uzumaki Naruto escaped from my office. He had slept in here to escape a beating by a mob last night after being thrown out of the orphanage. I want you to go to the orphanage and take the caretaker there to Ibiki. He has free reign on her, and I will not be expecting her to return to her duties. Once that is done, find Naruto and bring him back to me. Inu responded with a lazy salute before he stopped to ask a question. Why did he run out, Lord Hokage? I thought you had a good relationship with the boy. Hiruzen sighed for the 100th time that hour and rubbed his eyes wearily. I lied to him about the reason for his treatment and he knew it. It seems I have lost his trust, but I cannot leave a boy out on the streets. Find him and bring him to me. Inu responded lazily, Hi, Lord Hokage. It will be done. Inu left the office with a savage grin under his mask. He knew who the boy was, it was the son of his father figure. If he didn't have so many personal demons and duties, he would have adopted the boy, even though he was just turning 19. He would enjoy carting this damned woman to Ibiki and he might even stay and watch the show. He had seen how she treated Naruto and wasn't surprised at all when it was revealed that she threw him out. Naruto thumbed the wallet that he had swiped out of the Hokage's robes. He was always swift of hand, and he would apologize later. For now, he needed the money to get some things before he attempted to find his parents' compound. He opened the link to Kurama who was napping. Hey Q, this body can't control my chakra that well yet. Think you could force a henge or transformation on me so that I may get through the village and buy my groceries in peace? Kurama yawned before he responded. Fine Kit, but after this I am going to take a nap. I will do this as thanks for changing the landscape last night, it beats the hell out of that old sewer. By the way, I know that hurt but it was the right thing to do. Yeah, Q. Just like it hurts to see all of these old glares. I had like 3 months of people loving me after 16 years of hate, and then Sasuke team ruined my image after the war and people went back to hating me again. I guess I am just tired of it. Ha, 4 years old and I am a war veteran and have killed multiple ranked missing ninja. Naruto's tone was hollow and worn out. Don't worry about it, Kit. It won't be the same this time around. We need to get to some place safe and then we will get some rest and come up with a game plan. Kurama responded with the slightest bit of compassion in his voice. Naruto felt chakra filling his coils. Alright, hand signs, Kit. Same old ones and I will control the chakra. Naruto slowly went through the hand signs since his tiny hands and muscle memory was no longer present. After a puff of smoke, a 12-year-old girl was walking through Konoha with long, blonde hair typical of a Yamanaka with red highlights in it. Naruto felt the difference and saw his reflection in the window of a shop he was walking by. Damn it, Q. A girl, really? Silence, answered Naruto, and he knew that his kitsune partner had the link closed so that he could enjoy his nap. Quote. Naruto managed to make his way through the store and picked up a healthy amount of groceries at normal prices. Holy shit, it was nice to buy good quality food at fair prices. Naruto's preteen form walked through the village with her groceries toward the old clan compounds. He tried his best to follow his dad's instructions and he was at the eastern edge of the clan district almost directly under the Hokage monument, but there appeared to be a vacant lot next to the Inuzuka compound, where his dad said his house would be. Naruto thought about it for a bit before he pulled on a bit of Kurama's chakra and focused it to his eyes. The sensation was unfamiliar to this body, and it stung his eyes, but he was able to see the wavy, translucent lines of a genjutsu in the air. He focused on where he thought the front gate would be and saw a seal hovering around chest height for an adult. Trusting in the knowledge of the past, Naruto bit his thumb and smeared the blood on each digit of his hand. He placed his hand over the seal and pulsed his chakra into the seal. Naruto watched in awe as the gates opened and he quickly entered and closed them. He didn't want anyone seeing an unknown person entering the Namika's compound. He noticed that the security measures remained in effect, and he was relieved that he didn't accidentally undo the lockdown measures that were in place. After closing the gate, he dropped the hinge and walked up to the solitary house on the grounds. It was a modest-looking, Japanese-style, 2-story house that would serve as an amazing family home. Relief flooded through Naruto as he found the key in the left pot, after he took out the potted soil. He noticed that the lawn was untended and unkept, along with the rest of the property. As with all things, time appeared to have won out on the vacant Namika's compound. Likewise, inside the remnants of a hectic night remained. Plates were still in the sink, a blanket was still left out on the couch, scrolls were left on the kitchen table and dust coated everything. Naruto knew better than to open the fridge without being prepared. His previous life prepared him for that, so he decided to tackle that at a later date. He dropped off the bags of meats, veggies, snacks and most importantly ramen on the table. He walked to the kitchen sink and was pleased to find that he still had water, and then he flipped the light switch to find that the lights were still working. He soaked the cloth in the kitchen sink and got to work. He wasn't going to let the home of his parents remain in such a state, so it was back to working the hard way. By the end of the day, Naruto sincerely missed and appreciated his shadow clones. Doing all of this via manual labor was exhausting, and Naruto collapsed onto the couch at the end of the day after making himself a couple cups of ramen. He enjoyed a peaceful and well-earned sleep that night before he woke up and got back to work. That night, in an underground base deep under Konoha, a bandaged man with shabby black hair and bandages covering his right eye was doing paperwork at his desk. He looked up to acknowledge his operative that was kneeling in front of him before addressing him in an emotionless tone. Report. Hi, Danzo-sama. Operative 13 was discovered in the Hokage's office and taken into T&I in the Anbu headquarters. It is unknown how he was discovered, but we have been unable to re-infiltrate the Hokage's office. Danzo suppressed a sigh. Casualties were to be expected in this line of work and he would need to tie up loose ends. Very well. I will deal with 13. Is there anything else to report? 17. Operative 17 bowed his head. Hi, Danzo-sama. During my surveillance of the Jinchuriki, I witnessed a mob beating the child as planned. The lady at the orphanage was more than happy to be rid of the Jinchuriki. However, the boy escaped the mob after 10 or so minutes of being beaten and I was unable to relocate him. Danzo couldn't suppress the growl that escaped his throat. How did a 4-year-old escape a trained professional? Explain. 17 bowed deeply. My failure is unforgivable, Danzo-sama. There was a man that was beating the child and a villager approached with a bat. I lost sight of the child, but there was an explosion of chakra smoke and the man with the bat ended up striking another villager. After that, the child escaped. Danzo's curiosity was piqued. Are you telling me the boy used a jutsu? Unknown, Danzo-sama. 17 reported in a bland tone. Where is the boy now? Unknown, Danzo-sama. Evidently the boy was at the Hokage's office this morning and ran away from the Hokage. Anbu Inu was assigned to locate the child but has been unable to. By all reports, the child is still missing. Danzo was now chuckling evilly. This is most interesting. This is our opportunity. Find the Jinchuriki and bring him to me. We cannot let this opportunity escape us. You may use operatives 10 through 20 to accomplish this task. Do not fail me. Hi, Danzo-sama. You will be done. Meanwhile, Inu was reporting into the Hokage, and Hiruzen was not pleased. Hokage-sama, after using my Ninken, I traced the boy's trail in circles, but I lost it outside of a grocery store. It's like it completely disappeared near the fresh greens grocery store and my pack was unable to reacquire it. Inu reported. For the millionth time that day, Hiruzen sighed and rubbed his weary eyes. This had been one of the longest days of his career and it was all because he lied to the boy. He forced down his self-pity and spoke in a commanding tone. Inu, after discovering a root agent in my office, I fear the worst. This is not acceptable, and I need you to find the boy. Take Squad Rowan and find him. Failure is not an option. It makes sense that he was at the grocery store since he swiped my wallet. I do not know how or when, but I am certain that Naruto swiped my wallet. He is probably hunkered down somewhere, and you need to find him. Permission to speak freely, Hokage-sama. Inu asked before he continued after the Hokage's nod. I believe the boy knew you lied to him and him stealing your wallet was to make sure he could get these groceries. This implies forward thinking and thriftiness that is uncommon in children. If he did indeed test you, then it was likely at the suggestion of a third party. I know this, Inu. That is why I am more concerned than ever. Hiruzen replied with a tone saturated with weariness. So, do you think he knows about the QB then? Inu asked. That is the conclusion I have come to. I don't know many people that have the stones to break my law and he was under surveillance in the orphanage. Tell me, Inu, why was I not informed that he wasn't being fed and that he slept in a closet? Inu stiffened before replying. You were told, Hokage-sama. It was in multiple reports that my team submitted. I do not know of other teams, but the orphanage's treatment of the child was reported. Hiruzen slammed his head on the desk. Inu, I am too old for this job. I am missing too many things and I have lost control of the village due to the civilian council. I will say this because you gave me permission to speak freely. Sack up, Hokage-sama. The council holds no true power over you, you simply don't wish to deal with the headache. This is the result, so unless you wish for more of the same, I recommend that you put your pipe down, pull your sack up and get to work. The Hokage I know, and respect, doesn't fold to anybody. Hiruzen gave a wry chuckle. He was too tired to admonish one of his best Anbu captains. Thank you, Kakashi. Maybe you are right. For tonight, you have your assignment and I expect daily reports in person until he is found. Settling into a new life. Naruto opened his eyes for the 7th day he remained tucked inside his parents' compound. He spent the first 3 days cleaning out the dust and remnants of the past before he got to the good stuff. Unfortunately, despite his best efforts, the fridge retained a rancid smell despite cleaning it out 4 times. He didn't have the money for a new fridge, so he would have to put up with it for the time being. He did manage to clean the rest of the house and he made some worthwhile discoveries. In his parents' room, he found their journals and spent the downtime reading them and getting to know his parents better. The entries before Naruto's birth were so jubilant that it made Naruto actually cry. It should have been a joyous day if it weren't for Obito, that stupid, impressionable dumbass. He worked so hard to break through to him in his previous life and Naruto respected that he redeemed himself during the fight with Kaguya, for all the good that was worth. However, after reading the journal entries Naruto found that he wished that he could just be rid of Obito before his evil schemes even took root. Naruto decided to stay in his parents' room since it made him feel closer to them and he really needed to feel close to something. Kurama was always there for him, but he was often too bored to care unless it was to help Naruto train. After Kurama forcibly awakened his chakra and stretched his coils, Naruto found that his chakra control was at square one again and he couldn't even use shadow clones to help him. Despite healthy reserves, he was still 4 and his reserves were not large enough. Kurama agreed to a daily dose of his chakra to summon clones at the start of the day, but that was still in the test stages and had yet to yield results. Naruto spent most of his non-training time in his father's study, which was an absolute to get unlocked. Since he was not keyed into the seal, Naruto spent the better part of a day dodging traps and bypassing security seals. His father really went overboard when protecting his study, but it was understandable with loathsome people like Danzo hiding in the shadows of the village. Eventually, Naruto made it and was able to take control of the master security seal in his father's office. Once he was able to relax in his father's office, Naruto took a moment to thank Jiraiya, Shikamaru and Temari for helping Naruto learn seals. It was an ongoing project to get him capable to get an upper hand in the war with Iwa, Kumo and Konoha. He made it through a good portion of Jiraiya's notes with Shika and Temari and he used that knowledge to protect Suna until the final battle. He closed his eyes and offered a prayer of Grodd to Kami for his old friends. Hopefully, he would be able to befriend them sooner in this life and it wouldn't take such drastic measures to make them his friends. In his father's study was an absolute treasure trove of information. His father's scroll detailing the Rasengan made Naruto chuckle and berate himself for not being able to perform one of his signature jutsu. The other scrolls of interest were his mother's copy of the Uzumaki clan scroll, which was a small compendium of Uzu jutsu, training exercises and history. At this point, Naruto was more interested in the history of Uzu than the jutsus because he knew that he would need to mature and develop far more before he could start slinging jutsu. He was grateful that he gained access to his parents' house this time around and he was bitter at all the people in his old life that hid this information from him until it was too late. This whole wealth of knowledge was lost to Pain's attack and Naruto found it to be nearly unforgivable. Naruto settled his routine on waking up at 7 a.m., starting with stretching and physical training before he practiced the Uzumaki standard, whirlpool fist, taijutsu style. He realized that his taijutsu was almost non-existent in his previous life and he operated more like a brawler than anything. He wanted to change that this time around and he had the equipment and knowledge to do it. He found his mother's training scrolls and equipment, which came with wrist and ankle bands. It is amazing how hard a simple 5 pounds per limb weighs a man, or boy, down. After physical training, taijutsu katas and an hour of chakra control exercises, Naruto would dive into his father's study and start reading. He had a hunger to understand his clan and family that bordered on obsessed. The hole his first life left in his idini was slowly being filled up by wealth of knowledge in his parents' journals and jutsu scrolls. Naruto would stay in the study until lunchtime, eat, do a light workout and then another set of chakra control exercises before he returned to his father's study for the night. Throughout the day, Naruto or Kurama would initiate a conversation and brainstorm what needed to be altered and what should stay the same. As far as Naruto could remember, he only knew of the Hyuga incident at this point. He had no clue when the Hyuga incident actually happened, but he was fairly certain that it happened on Hinata's 5th birthday. That should give him about a year to come up with something to trip up that event. Hinata's birthday was August 8th, which meant that he needed to be at a certain level of proficiency before that happened. He also wanted to have better control to defend himself before he left the village to find Tsunade. After thinking it over, Naruto decided that he should approach Tsunade first because Jiraiya was more loyal to the Hokage than he would be to a kid Naruto. Hell, the old perv didn't even enter Naruto's life until the Chunin exams and Naruto didn't think that would change this time around unless Tsunade was the one to reach out to him. Naruto felt a hole in his heart when he thought about Tsunade, his Bar-chan, and all of the opportunities he missed out on in his last life. She was actually his granny, and she didn't even know it, which was still more than a little mind-blowing to Naruto. The way he saw it, he would train here in the compound, remain completely off the radar, save Hinata from Kumo and then disappear in the chaos to find Tsunade. That gave him 10 months to get to work to the point that he wouldn't have to rely on Kurama to perform jutsu for him. After a week in the compound, it was time for another grocery run. Now that Naruto was the master of the security seal, he would be able to enter and exit the compound without being so exposed. After his morning training on the 7th day, Naruto once again requested a transformation from Kurama, and much to his chagrin it was the same blonde 12-year-old girl. Naruto hopped the fence to the compound and walked around the Hokage monument. He sat down on his father's head for the first time in this life and enjoyed the view of his village before all of the destruction. It was moments of peace like this that kept the flashbacks at bay, and he chose to cherish the opportunity for a couple minutes. After 20 minutes or so, the blonde girl with red highlights stood up and walked down the Hokage monument into the village. Everything was normal until he walked by the park that he used to be ignored, beaten and ostracized at. The childish shouts and shrieks filled innocence and joy drew Naruto's attention. After a brief glance, he froze at the sight of the child forms of his old friends. Shikamaru was posted up by a tree, lying flat on his back and looking up into the sky. He chuckled at the early onset of laziness in his Nara friend before memories started flooding in. Naruto couldn't stop his mind from thinking back to their last conversation in Suna. It was shortly before the end, and they were on watch duty on the walls of Suna, and Shika was lying down looking up into the desert sky. They had just lost Ino, which hit both of them hard, and they were trying to process the loss. Flashback. Naruto was peering out over the horizon of the endless sand dunes on his watch duty. It didn't matter that him and Shika were key leaders of the resistance. They were short-handed and everyone needed to pull their weight. Shika was doing his best to suppress his tears now that it was just the two of them. They hid nothing from each other and called each other brother. He was as much family as anybody Naruto knew, but neither of them knew where to start. Naruto, you know that you're my brother and I don't want to do something so troublesome, but you need to talk about this. Shika's lazy drawl was whisked away by the desert wind, but Naruto still heard him. Naruto did his darndest to clear the frog from his throat, but his voice still came out broken. I don't know what to say, Shika. In this crazy world, she was my rock. She kept me sane and focused when everything else fell down around me. Now she's gone. I always knew you troublesome blondes would end up together. I just never thought that you would be the one to initiate it. Ha ha. The commander of the resistance fell in love with his therapist. She loved you, you know. Tears started to fall from Naruto's eyes and streaked down his whisker marks. Kurama watched silently from his mind, secretly mourning the loss of his partner's third mate. I know. I don't know how it took me so long to see her light. I had the banshee blinders on for so long that I was completely oblivious to other girls. Shika put a lazy hand around Naruto's ankle and gave it a squeeze. Look brother, we all make mistakes. At least you finally took the hint when she sided with that insane duck butt. A choked laugh escaped from Naruto's throat. Yeah, yay for me. It takes a literal parade dedicated to saying it will never, ever, ever, ever work out. Dated her for a full year and she sees Sasuke for a day, after trying to kill her mind you, and she dropped me like a bad habit. I was a ring joke. Shika sighed. Troublesome, look man, you were a bit dense, but you are also the man that saved the shinobi world, saved all of us and converted nearly a third of all shinobi to your cause. Don't sell yourself short, brother. Flashback end. Naruto whispered under his breath, don't sell yourself short, Naruto. He shook off the invading thoughts and forced himself to continue his walk to the grocery store. He passed by villages that were pleasant enough and completely oblivious to who he actually was. Kurama informed him that nobody would be able to track him because he actually smelled like a female in this form, which was one of the main reasons Kurama chose this form. He passed shinobi and civilians alike with no issues and was able to stock up on groceries. During his trip through the grocery store, Naruto remembered all the lessons that Chuji gave him on proper nutrition and its importance. He even tossed in easy-to-make recipes and an Akamaiki cookbook for Naruto to use. Fresh ingredients were scarce in the desert, but the raids on caravans bound for Kumo and Konoha paid off well enough to give people decent rations. Kami, everything Naruto did reminded him of his past and ripped the fresh scabs off old wounds that had yet to heal. It took a concentrated effort every time to shake off the haunting memories, and it was honestly exhausting. He eventually made it back to his compound without being noticed and resumed his single-minded training. Training hard and keeping his mind occupied was one of the ways for Naruto to hold the flashbacks at bay. Training to the point of exhaustion ensured that Naruto slept well without the interruptions of nightmares. The focus on chakra control was his goal, and when he got tired of that he would start practicing his fuinjutsu or go work out in the training yard. Kurama pushed slivers of his chakra through the seal every day to forcibly expand Naruto's chakra coils and add to Naruto's reserves. Kurama kept his body healthy and ensured his hard work yielded some decent results. He was definitely in better shape than he was at this point in his previous life. Amazing what a safe home and decent food supply did for a growing boy. Meanwhile, Danzo and Hiruzen had started a cold war. Hiruzen thought that Danzo had gotten his greedy hands on Naruto, and Danzo believed that Hiruzen was now hiding the Jinchuriki. The Cold War came to a head in yesterday's council meeting when Danzo tried calling Hiruzen out on giving preferential treatment to the Jinchuriki, which enraged the civilian council. Flashback 7 p.m. Konoha's council room. Hiruzen was about to wrap up a mundane council meeting when Danzo stood up at last call. Hiruzen, it has come to my attention that the Jinchuriki is missing and hasn't been seen in over a week after he was ejected from the orphanage. Danzo started slowly. Hiruzen growled at his old rival, and he had more than half a mind to order a hit on the man that had grown too big for his britches. First, that is Hokage-sama to you, Elder Danzo. Second, Naruto is indeed missing. He ran out of my office after I tried to cover for the foolish actions of a civilian mob that nearly beat the child to death. I found him huddled on my chair the morning after the festival. Hiruzen shot a meaningful look at Danzo when he said that last part, which earned a low growl from the Warhawk. A civilian representative rose to his feet. Lord Hokage, during that said incident, it was reported to me that the demon attacked one of the villages. I moved to find the demon and summarily execute him. Hiruzen chuckled menacingly. Alba, you know my law and yet you willingly say that to my face. If a grown man with a bat misses a child and hits another man, then the child is not responsible. I should inform this council that the members of the mob on October 10th have all been rounded up and are enjoying their special vacation with Ibiki. Shouts erupted from the civilian side of the council and Danzo was suppressing a smile from showing on his face. He wanted Hiruzen to continue losing face with the civilian council, which would create an opening for him to exploit in the future. Eventually, Hiruzen flared a massive amount of killing intent and leveled it on the civilian side of the council. They immediately cowed under the intimidating pressure and shut up. I will not say this again. Naruto Uzumaki is not a demon, and he will not be executed. If any foolish villagers or shinobi wish to test this theory, they will be rounded up and sent to Tandy for a nice vacation. If they are found guilty of attempted murder of a child, they will be executed. I have no patience or love in my old heart for child beaters. Do not test me on this. Danzo took this opportunity to throw gas on the fire. Is the child actually missing or is he under your protection, Lord Hokage? Danzo, you grow too ambitious for your own good. Your role is my advisor, and since you saw fit to place an unsanctioned operative in my office, I am removing you from said role. Furthermore, you are to remain on house arrest for the duration of the investigation I recently opened concerning you and a certain organization that I ordered disbanded. Until further notice, you will remain in your home. Anbu, please escort ex-advisor Shimura to his home. As the Anbu squad appeared, Homura Mitokoto stood up and hesitantly addressed her old teammate. Hiruzen, you can't. Hiruzen stood to his feet and flexed his ki again. No, Counselor Mitokoto. You are an advisor and carry no more power than I am willing to give you. You three have stepped too far over the line and your greed blinds you. That fool was spying on his Hokage. He is lucky I don't order his execution right now. Now you will all leave me. End of flashback. The tension that meeting created was almost entirely one-sided. The Shinobi Council appreciated the Hokage regaining his backbone and they relished in the opportunity to watch the elders and civilian council get put in their place. However, the exact opposite was true for the other parties concerned. Lines had been drawn and tension was high behind the scenes in Konoha. The civilians blamed the demon brat for their newfound problems, which included a full audit of the council by Hiruzen for corruption. Hiruzen returned to his office the day to find a note from Naruto, which Inu said a little girl brought to him when he was asking around the playground for Naruto. Hiruzen couldn't believe the maneuvering this child was capable of, but he ripped the note out of Inu's hands and read it immediately. To the Hokage. Except that there is a lot you don't know and won't understand about me. It is in large part due to my father's seal and the presence of the QB. 3 things I feel like sharing with you. You shouldn't have lied to me. Sure, I am a child, but I trusted you, pretty much the only person I trusted, and you broke that. If you wish to regain my trust, then find where soon it is. I will not tell you why. I am still in Konoha, and you won't find me. I ask that you call off your dogs. I will become a shinobi of Konoha, but I will do it my way. Trust me to do this, and in time you will regain my trust. Please do not share this with the council. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Hiruzen fell back into his chair with disbelief filling his eyes. What in the hell just happened? How does a 4-year-old do something like this? Did Minato put something in the seal? He was always capable of achieving the impossible, and he possibly foresaw the village's treatment of his child. So many questions with so few answers were spinning through Hiruzen's head. Inu, did anybody else read this letter? Where is the child that gave this letter to you? Hiruzen asked with deadly seriousness that caused Kakashi to stiffen his usually lazy posture. No, Lord Hokage. The child disappeared shortly after handing me the letter. I thought that it was a letter for her Hokage until I read it, which immediately prompted me to give it to you. Inu responded professionally. Hiruzen burned the letter without a second thought, he already had it memorized anyway. Hiruzen put his hand under his desk and poured chakra into a seal there, which prompted a blue shimmer to spread across the walls of the Hokage's office. Tell me your thoughts, Kakashi. Hiruzen said in a stern tone. These actions are too thought out and rational for a child. However, he knows his parents, which means that something happened. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Sensei's doing, and I am honestly glad he knows. I am just sad you lost his trust before we could ask him ourselves. Kakashi responded. Hiruzen contemplated one of his most trusted shinobi's words. Why do you think he asked for Tsunade? Inu's head tilted down in a sign of concentration. I honestly don't know. If it is in regard to his family, then maybe it was because she is family. They are related, but she is just a distant aunt. Hiruzen trailed off. Maybe there is more to it, but if we get him this information, then maybe we can figure out why he wants it. He clearly knows that I was the one tracking him. Kakashi filled in Hiruzen's thoughts. Hiruzen reached for his pipe, put some new tobacco in, lit and inhaled the scented tobacco. He held it for a good minute before he released and spoke. For now, we will play along. These actions are not the actions of a child, and it is either the QB or something in Minato's seal. When and if you find him, approach cautiously and try to bring him to me. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.